Hello, everyone. Welcome to
Off the Rails. I'm Justine.
I'm Aisha.
And today we have some pretty special guests.
Yeah.
We have with us the two co-presidents of AIAS.
AIAS.
So it's going to be a special episode for you guys.
So, do you want to introduce yourselves? We can start with Nik.
Sure, yeah. I'm Nik Romano. I'm currently a grad student in the one-year program at Northeastern. I've been a part of AIAS since my, I don't even know, third year, I guess. But yeah, happy to be here. It's pretty cool.
I'm Ethan Rogers. I'm in my undergraduate degree, my fifth year, the BS of Architecture program. I've been involved with AIAS since like the end of my first year, actually, so a number of years now. It's been a great time every single year. And yeah, really happy to be on the show. Thanks for having us.
Great.
Thanks for making time on your busy schedule for us.
Yeah. To everyone listening and like watching maybe, it was a tough thing to schedule, so thank you so much for being here, honestly.
You know, the heat of midterms.
We know it's midterms. Yeah, it's midterm season. So it's hitting Nik the hardest, I think.
Whoa.
Right now we're not near me. We have 2 weeks.
Check back with
You
us
ha-
in 2
yeah.
weeks
Okay.
for sure.
Check
All right,
back.
fair
Check
enough.
back.
I also
Yeah.
have a
We'll be
number
in
of
the
weeks.
same-
So.
Yeah.
We'll be in that
alright.
same place.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
worry.
yeah.
Yeah,
We
I
have
mean-
some questions for you guys.
Cool.
So
Sounds good.
you can like give the people some like background on AIAS and what it is.
Yeah.
So what it is.
Oh, history quiz.
What is AIAS?
Yeah, sure. It's an international organization, basically bringing together different chapters of architecture students. That's pretty much it. It's sort of related to the AIA, but it's got its own whole jurisdiction thing. But yeah, they've got some national events. There's like engagement on the national level where you can be like a task force kind of person. You can like join committees and all that. And then like we have the local chapter here, of course, and that's been around for, decades probably now. Yeah. So
Is there something that makes like the Northeastern AIAS particularly special?
Oh, we're so great.
we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I would say that we as Northeastern are part of the Northeast Quad. Like there are 4 major quads in national AIS, and we're in the Northeast Quad. And in the Boston area, there are a number of other chapters. We have connections with schools including Wentworth, MassArt, the BAC. Even BU has a small program they have going as well. So they're all involved in like their architecture communities a little bit, but I think that our chapter is kind of one of the bigger ones, and we see that in the way that we run our Beaux-Arts Ball every year and we bring other schools there as just one example, and the career fair as well.
Yeah.
I think we get a lot of funding also from Northeastern. I don't think other schools' chapters are supported quite as well.
Mhm.
So we have the SOA to thank for that, School of Architecture. And I
Shout out to
suppose,
Northeastern.
yeah, and shout out like Northeastern overall. They give us money too. So, yeah.
Yeah, keep those going. We have some great events planned for
Yeah.
the year,
Yeah.
so
we can talk
excited
a
to
little
see
bit
it.
about them more in detail.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
I guess one of our follow-up questions is like for an incoming freshman into Northeastern, like how does one contribute to AIAS? How do you get into it? How did you guys get into AIAS?
Yeah, like your background story. Story
It's
time.
a little deep dive, yeah.
Yeah, I literally started because like some girl who's like long gone like walked up to me and was like, "Hey, like we're having an AIS meet." I was like a little freshman in like the little studio section.
That's how they get ya.
I was doing like the cube model. I was like having a
cube model.
horrible afternoon probably, and like she was like, "Oh, like it's a little break. We've got some snacks." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then I walked over with some friends.
Had food and you were like, I'm just going for the food.
I walked over and it was a fun little. It was pretty small back then, honestly. We've seen it grow a lot bigger, but yeah, it was just word of mouth originally. I didn't even really know it was up. I was also NUN, so this was the spring semester.
Where'd you go?
I went to Sydney, which is really, really,
Oh my gosh.
cool.
really, really sick. It was so
See?
fun. Yeah.
All the things
We're
we're
all
learning
learning
in this
things
podcast.
today.
We're all learning stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool, but
That's
yeah, I like didn't know anything about architecture. I felt super like out of the loop because everyone else like had Arc 1000 with Dan Adams.
Yeah.
I'd like never done that. I didn't know anybody.
I have
but
a
yeah.
similar experience because I was also NUN.
Where did you go?
Boston.
Oh
Class.
Oh,
no!
My move was because of the pandemic, and I was like, let me just get into Boston really quick, just in case things changed. I was very worried about COVID at that time and being so far away.
Yeah, 2021, who wasn't?
Yeah.
Hey, 2020 also. I came in 2020.
Oh, that's a tough year.
Oh,
Did
we
you get
should-
to? Did you do it virtually for the first year?
AIS?
Like
No.
your
All
year,
of school.
their
Oh,
school.
all of school. Yeah.
Oh.
No,
Wait,
I
did you
forgot
get a
about
discount
that.
or something?
I at least got like a couple of
or
weeks.
that? No.
No.
Okay.
Oh my God.
We might edit that out. That's so funny. Okay.
No, you could imagine me in my little dorm room. I'm a dorm furniture.
Oh, so you
Like,
were in Boston though?
Yeah.
You stayed like
Oh.
on where? Did
On
you stay in like a?
campus.
I was in Smith Hall on Hemingway Street.
Oh.
They had placed me in a business LLC, which was not
Yeah.
my major.
No, we have
Um,
like one of our friends lived in Smith Hall as an architecture major.
Oh yeah.
Um,
There actually were a few of us, I remember.
They
But
kind of just sprinkle us around.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had a single, which I didn't request. It just
Oh.
kind of happened.
I also
I
had
was
a
in a
single my
triple my
no,
freshman
I had
year.
a single my freshman year.
Okay,
Really?
Nick, we're
At
not
At the
cheating
Sheraton.
here.
I lived at a hotel,
Oh,
a corner bedroom.
Yeah,
but it was
with
single.
that
you
oh,
got
that's pretty
bed.
sick, actually.
Cleaning
oh,
service,
okay.
right?
We can,
Sorry,
we,
sorry,
can, we
okay.
can move on to the next question. Actually.
So I guess I could say that I was picking models in my room. It was not the best
Yeah,
experience.
that was horrendous. That was
Um,
not good.
but-
Did you have ARC 1000 with Dan Adams?
I did have Rock 1000 with Dan Adams.
I
yes.
think even online
Yeah.
that must have
But
been.
I
great.
actually
Awesome.
some of those classes were in person, surprisingly.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
that's
Um,
cool.
We sat like 3 desks apart.
Ooh.
Yeah, back in the old studio setup, but it
I
was
miss
somewhat
the
in
old studio
person.
setup. Who can I talk to get back to the old studio setup?
Oh, that's like
You
a
know,
whole
I
thing.
think that there are a lot of conversations
tough
going on
one.
still. I know
Okay.
a lot of people have strong feelings on this, and I think it's really important that we, as like all designers, like and people like with the skills, we should be able to contribute our ideas. And I
Yeah.
think that we're working on that for this semester, and I think.
This is where AIAS comes in
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, we are planning on partnering with groups within the SOA aside from AIS. Like, there are a couple committees in the SOA, Student Advisory Board,
School of Architecture.
Thank
For
you.
the people that don't know.
Space
Student Advisory Board, the
Committee.
Space Committee,
Yeah.
as well as other student groups like NOMOS, Freedom by Design.
Yeah.
I think we are working on ways to think about how we can improve our collective space.
Yeah, and I think, like, at least from my experience, like, one of the ways I got into AIAS was mostly because I had strong opinions about, like studio culture and, like, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's, like, a good way to get into it if you're, like, a freshman. Like, just reach out to the old people. Like, the older...
The ones with opinions.
Yeah. So you can like reach out always to AIS people, like the e-board or someone else, just like that has a little bit more knowledge, and they can guide you through it and like see what can be resolved. Obviously, because there's a lot of constraints as to what the studio can look like in this case. So, yeah.
You know, I'll say a couple of things on that. I think as for like my story with AIS, I definitely got involved by like talking to those older students, especially at a time during COVID where it was a different problem for me, where I was like, I was in my dorm making models that like wasn't any studio culture.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I had my
Yeah.
single dorm with my film core and my alpha, and there's no culture
the
there.
simple days.
Bad times.
So I know I chatted a lot with Enya, who was the president a number of years ago.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to Enya. Definitely.
Yeah, she was the one who got me on the board, actually. Because I remember, I think I asked her some question like, oh, how do I get more involved on Northeastern? Like, I think it was studio culture or something. I don't know. She was like, oh, like, you should, like, try to be, like, one of our board members. I was like, all right, yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Sign me up.
And you know, I
Yeah.
remember like they were virtual events that happened my first year, and like they were fairly small, but
Yeah.
I think from me like popping on for a few minutes there, like caught their eyes. I was like, oh, we gotta get him in. And I guess
You were
I guess it
recruited.
worked.
That's what I'm hearing. Sounds good.
I guess it did work. So
What kind of different positions are there within AIS and Northeastern?
Those changed a year for year, I guess, or year to year. We always have some amount of presidents, I guess. A long time ago, they had like a spring president, a fall president.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, now we just
That's
do.
a lot of change.
That is a lot of
Yeah,
change.
so now we just do 2, just because it works out better. I think. We've always got some number of vice presidents also. So this year we've got 3, which is like a lot, but
It's
no,
okay.
they're doing really good work. What else do we have? We've got some new positions like the career fair chair.
Oh, that's cool.
Ryan Chan.
There you go.
We'll have him on this
We'll
podcast.
have him.
sick. Yeah, very
I think
nice.
he's really good at when it comes to careers and stuff like
There you
Yeah,
go.
so-
Yeah. We've got a new Beaux-Arts ball chair, which was
Sitting in front of us right now.
yeah,
that
was
is me.
yeah,
I'll be
we-
organizing it.
that was something I think we made a couple years ago, but it's changed hands now and then. Are there any other new ones? Not really.
We have changed our system of having a couple freshman reps this year.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
have 2.
We
I
have
think
2.
that'll be really great.
Welcome to them.
because
Yeah.
yes, welcome Allison and Fiona to our board. Just getting onboarded now. And I think that's going to be really great because we have a very involved and active first year, second year class right now. We're seeing a lot of them attend our events.
Yeah, like shockingly, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that comes from some like little tweaks we've made over the past year that have just shown increased attendance and more activity in our events. Like we used to have our meetings at 6:00, now they're at 5:00, and I think that kind
Right
of
Yeah.
after studio
catches
helps.
people
it for
Yeah.
sure
in the
helps.
studio.
Yeah.
and
Also the free food
Also
helps,
the
yeah.
food.
I
always
definitely
helps.
like noticed that the meetings were at 5 now, and that's so much better. I just gotta say, whoever came up with that idea,
I think it was Nick. I'm gonna shout him out.
great idea.
Let's
I
go.
think so.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hate to say it, but I think so.
What are like the most like big events that AIAS like creates, and why do you guys create, like why are these events there for people? Like we touched a little bit on them, but I think we can go a little bit deeper
Yeah,
on them.
absolutely. We have really a few sides to our club, kind of the social side, professional side, and even the volunteer side too. And
Yeah.
that is covered particularly by Freedom by Design, which is its own kind of club entity within the school.
Yeah.
But for kind of AIS specific purview, the social and professional, and for one thing, our biggest event of the year, as has been for the past few years, has been our Beaux-Arts Ball at the end of the spring
pressure.
semester.
No pressure. Don't
but
worry.
that is kind of accumulation of we work so hard during the year
Yeah.
and just have a great night all together
Yeah.
at some fun
Yeah.
place all together, dancing,
Free food.
having great food.
Well, paid for food, I guess. Paid, food
Um,
included, I guess.
But we have a number of other events that kind of build on studio culture throughout the whole year. Like we always welcome September with our Welcome Back barbecue.
Yeah.
That was
which
a big hit this year too.
No, I
Oh,
gotta
that's pretty
say,
good.
a lot of people were there.
That's great.
And a
Because
lot
the
of
year
people
before.
wanted to be mentors. A lot of people wanted to get involved for sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and mentorship too. I think we're definitely working on that too. We have a great mentorship program going on this year. But yeah, Welcome Barbecue, it was fantastic. We had a great showing there. I think also just minor changes again. That's kind of what we've been focusing on a lot. Like how can we improve events significantly with really small changes? And I think one way we did that was getting picnic blankets this year. It was
Oh, yeah.
have
Yeah,
a place
the
for people
little
to,
things
hang
go a
out
long
more.
I
way.
can say that I definitely benefited from one of those picnic blankets for sure. So.
I think people.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Great.
So
That was the goal. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you
Yeah.
sat down.
it was awesome.
There's one more. Sorry to cut you up.
No.
There's the career fair.
I was
of
gonna let you
course.
take it,
Yeah.
please.
I think that's a huge event. It's the professional side of things at AIS I think is really, really powerful in conjunction with our co-op coordinator, Lynn Burke.
Shout out.
She's so great.
Yeah.
And I think we're basically like her little foot soldiers. Like we can go and organize events. She brings the people and the connections and make great stuff happen. We have a lot of firms coming to our firm, our career fair last year. We're going to have a lot more this year as well. We rent out a space in Curry. It's always really fun. And we always do career or firm crawls and firm representatives. Those are like the more minor events of like the professional side of things.
But we just had a firm crawl. You wanna
Yeah.
talk about that too?
Yeah, we did a firm call at Machado Silvetti. That was a lot of fun. Just a local architecture firm in Boston. They've done a lot of museums. So they did like a Ringling Museum in Florida, their renovation. They did a Denver art museum renovation or expansion as well. Yeah, they were really, really cool. They hire co-ops. And so I think AIAS has a lot of potential for connecting people with, firms that they want to work for. And I think that's really what attracted me to AIAS in the beginning, is like it really can help you like get an actual job. Like literally just by like going to events, like you can like network your way into like a lot of really awesome situations. Yeah, people have gotten hired at our career, like maybe not at our career fairs themselves, but like they
built the connections.
They've built the connections, and like professionals will like follow up with students and hire them, and yeah.
It's so good they come to us. They have a large crowd of firms there. And
yeah, that's what makes me really like happy with it's not just like even if it was just a social firm or a social club, that would be fine. But I feel like we really do have substance and like actual like reasons for everyone to join.
It's also even broader than Boston too. Like coming up next week, right? We have Henning Larson.
Yeah.
Hope
Little
to see
hint,
you guys.
hint.
That's
That was
actually
a big hint.
That's crazy. But Lynn did that. Lynn got the connection. We're just setting up the stuff. But not all of them go that way. I reached out to the Machado Silvetti people, and I did that. I did
You gotta
that.
give Nik some credit.
Yes, thank you. But the Henning Larson, all Lynn Frank.
We have our advertising team working with her.
Webmasters doing a great job.
Yeah. We have a great team this year. Everybody's doing a fantastic job.
For those who don't know, what does a firm crawl kind of like entail? What do you get out of a firm crawl?
Yeah, you just show up to the office, tour the firm, normally a couple different people in the office, talk to you about their experiences. So we normally get like a mid-level person, like an associate or something, and then they bring in like a designer. At Machado Silvetti, we talked to the co-op, the Northeastern co-op. Don't remember her name, but she was cool.
Shout out to you too.
Yeah, whatever your name is. And we talked to some other designers, walked around the office, looked at some of their projects and their models. Yeah, it's
I think
cool.
it's definitely
really
a
cool.
way to like kind of see where you fit into the firm too.
Yeah.
Even before applying, and kind of get a sense of like the culture there too.
Yeah.
And see if you're a fit for them or if they're a fit for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of this
Definitely, yeah.
interaction between you and the firm. And I think this goes tied into like what Northeastern is.
Yeah.
Like, we have the co-op program. So
Yeah.
that's why we have Lynn.
Oh, yeah.
So
And Lynn's
I
been
think-
here for a long time, and she has a
Yes.
lot of connections.
Yes.
And it's a lot of
Yeah.
good work.
She makes this program, in my
Oh,
opinion.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Shout out to her.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
Please get me a co-op.
On a more kind of like personal level, what made you guys decide to be co-presidents this year?
It was just sort of like a logical decision, like there was a lot of work to be done. Everyone's very busy. It's hard just doing it as one person. Yeah, I get to do things that Ethan doesn't want to do. Ethan gets to do things that I don't want to do. It's a very good.
T-shirts.
It's a very good pairing for what it's worth. I think that Ethan does a lot of finance stuff that I personally just really don't want to do, and then I do like national level stuff that's like so it's good.
Yeah,
It's a good
I
partnership.
think
Yeah.
I think we recognize that, as I mentioned, we're one of the bigger chapters in this area, and we realize, taking the role of president, really, it could be two people, and probably should be two people.
Yeah. If we did less, maybe one person would be good, but we do a lot of work.
We do a lot.
So
we have a lot
two
of events
people
during the
is
year.
nice.
We have a big team we oversee. And I think just thinking about how Nik and I have been involved for a number of years now, and also just what we've personally worked on in the past. I've done a lot of social events and finances, and Nik has been on the national side a bit more, and did a lot of professional things with Career Fair, working with Lynn. So I feel like that covered a lot of our bases, and therefore we kind of cover everything there. And so that kind of helped in what Nik was saying about our VP structures with so we have three. TJ is our VP of Studio Culture, Hannah, who is our VP of Logistics, and Noam, who's our VP of professional events. And I think we kind of find a nice structure where everybody kind of has a category, and we know like who we're working with directly.
I personally love AIAS more as the years go by. I feel like
That's
we
good
are
to hear.
we're getting better. We're getting better every single time. So I really appreciate your guys' work and like
Thanks.
everybody in the e-board. I know they've been working hard, and architecture is such a hard major. It like requires so much time, and you guys taking like the time outside to just do that for the rest of us. It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So great work.
Props to you
Thanks.
guys. You guys are
Yeah.
killing it
Thanks.
this year.
No,
Awesome.
honestly, I've been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Credit should go to you too because you've been selling T-shirts like a madwoman this week. So
She is very good.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does
I
that.
sold 25 T-shirts
Wow.
over the course of Monday, like 12 a.m.
It's $250.
including professors.
Including
Oh,
professors.
that's
professors.
When I saw those
Wow.
purchases come in, I was losing it. I was like, "You got professors to buy the shirts?" Like,
Well, it wasn't even. She tried selling it to a student, and our professor was there in proximity,
And
she
I
was
said,
like, "So how much
including
are those?"
professors. And then she was
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess I can buy one. And
Yeah.
then, thank you so much.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
If you want to buy a struggle shirt, we're running low. So
yeah, we
Yeah.
only
get on
have-
that soon.
Well,
We're
but
all wearing them for Halloween, everybody. So
this is
hopefully
not
this
gonna be
episode will come out before then, but I don't
before
think
that,
it will.
But I don't think it will. Hopefully.
We're all wearing them for our final crits. I think
Well,
that's what our
that's-
prof told us in our
yeah.
section, anyway.
She was like, maybe depending on how the midterm goes,
Yeah.
she'll be wearing it on
Yeah.
the final.
You're all gonna match. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, if we finish with that merch, we'll definitely get more of something else.
Maybe some off the rails T-shirts. Who
Stickers.
knows?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we've
Maybe we'll
been
get
big
the
on the idea of
budget for it.
stickers coming
Yeah.
soon.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
That'd
tote
be cool.
bags would be pretty popular amongst
Tote bags.
amongst
Do
the
you have,
Northeastern
like,
crowd.
10,000
Yeah.
tote bags, but
So
I'll
what's
always
one
get
more?
another one.
Exactly. That's
always
that's
need
the
more
business
tote bags.
model.
Overconsumption.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess like I want to ask you like if you had an advice for like a freshman going into architecture.
It's like something that you guys wish that
Yeah.
you knew
Yeah.
before coming to Northeastern Architecture.
We'll be asking this to every single guest.
Yeah, we do. That's a good one. That's true.
I think for me, especially as somebody who came in the school during COVID where there was just no studio culture, I think there's so much value in just going around studio and like seeing what other people are working on. Like once COVID kind of died down and I was able to be back in studio, I found myself kind of wanting to kind of know what other people have going on in other studios and like what kind of models they're making and what projects they're working on and like get advice on software and things I was working on. So I think going around, meeting new people, seeing what they're doing in studio is always a great idea, especially for freshmen this year who are up front, which
Yeah.
is pretty unusual. But like I would encourage you to like not feel like you should feel like you can go to the back of studio and like see what's going on there. Like don't feel like you're confined to the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a nice, like, oh God, it was such a nice
Please
diagram
explain.
of like the freshmen used to be all the way in the
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
so
I
they would
remember
walk
that.
by all the
I
desks.
was in the
A
A
back.
wonderful
We were-
party, if you will.
We
That
were
was
talking
really
about that.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
Well-
talking about the other day. Is like the freshmen will never get to experience the walk of shame, like all the way
Yeah.
back to the
I
front.
feel like let's explain the like kind of layout if
Yeah.
there's someone listening that it's not architecture.
Or just like
Well,
doesn't know how great it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because freshmen don't know.
It was such a like it was
Brutal.
it was
Well,
so
we
nice.
are
Like the
under-
symbolism was a
Yeah,
fantastic.
we're under the Ruggles station, by the way.
Which is kind of where the name comes from.
Yeah,
if no
of
one
course.
caught that, is because we are right off of the rails. Is the
I guess,
pun.
yeah.
Literally
Yeah.
leased by MBTA. MBTA
Yeah.
owns
Yes.
it. Northeastern leases
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like
silly.
underneath. The buses pass on top of us, and it's like this long hall. Sorry, long hall.
Cut it there,
Very,
babe.
very long hall.
And that's it. No rooms, just
No.
a hall.
Yeah.
Actually,
Just
I
a
guess
hall,
there's
and
more.
then
couple
there's, like,
rooms.
A couple.
Yeah, there's like
Three?
the bathroom.
Oh,
There's-
I didn't
There's
mean
the
that.
bathroom.
Like
there's-
the print
There's
room.
the
The
print room,
room.
the shop room, the shop, and then
The laser
Do
cutters.
you
The laser
count
cutting.
The print room?
Yeah.
That's a room.
It's got walls
Okay.
and like some
We know
sort
what
of
walls
a
are. I'm
doorway
confident.
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
thing.
I guess, yeah. But
Like
then
crit spaces are not like
Those are not
rooms.
Yeah.
rooms.
Like
Those are not rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Is you could reshape them. You could take down the dividers.
Which
and-
that's pretty genius.
That is-
I
that's
do
pretty
really
cool.
like
That's
that.
I
pretty
do like
fun.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. But then it used to be like the graduates like up the front, like nearer to the exit,
Yeah.
which kind of makes sense.
So-
of, like you're graduating, you're exiting.
Yeah, it was like the older you are
That's what it
and the
was.
closer you are to
To the-
leaving
It was
school,
really
the
nice.
closer you are to the door.
exit.
Really
And
nice
it was
part,
so
dude.
smart and
Yeah.
so cool, and we took it for granted.
Yeah.
We really,
Yeah.
I miss it.
We left for
A year.
co-op in Spain, and then we came
Came back
back
and
to
we
the
were like-
same
Everything's horrible.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're like we
Yeah.
never moved on.
Actually, I moved
It's-
back.
You moved
You
I actually
moved
moved a little bit front, like I wrote front.
I was in section number 1 of like my second year,
Okay.
so I was fairly
Like,
close.
yeah.
And then I got to my
You got-
section space, and I was like, I got
no, I got
demoted.
fairly closer.
Oh,
I
that's
got
nice.
demoted.
Yeah, I got demoted.
I will say I got to do the whole thing.
Oh,
Okay,
but they
so
threw
right, that's
no,
fine.
but they threw you to the back. So like
I'm actually really
But
happy
you-
with that.
you
It's like
got
full
to
circle.
experience
I
it.
really
Full-
like it.
Yeah,
I
as
really
you're
like
like
it.
a graduate,
Cool,
like
too.
you're kind of going back.
really
yeah.
nice.
As first
It's actually
years, you're
really
like,
nice.
oh, but as like a third and fourth year, you're like, I get it. It makes sense. And like, yeah, I miss the
yeah.
old setup.
I too miss
Now
it.
the first years get their own desk and
Yeah,
they'll
but come
never
to the
get
back.
it.
Come to the back. Like
It- I
don't be
think it's so much
restricted.
more
Like
Yeah,
you
I
can
think
say.
what I want to say is I know many of us, especially older students, who have kind of lived the past studio setup. Like there's a lot of, hope that like might return. But I think I do want to call out that though it's not an ideal setup, there are some nice benefits
Yeah.
of this pod setup. If we think about what it was before, and if you don't know, it was like these rows where it's like there's a hallway, there's like desks on both sides, and that was one section, right?
Yeah.
And you're facing away from everybody
Yeah.
in
You're
your class,
facing away from
which was a
everybody.
negative that
Yeah.
that we
You
don't
know,
have to face.
I
now.
remember like in my second year, back when I was out of COVID, and like in between, like starting out in studio, and then I went to Spain the next year, and then it changed obviously, so a lot of changes over time.
Yeah.
But when we wanted to like gather as a
Yeah.
group, you were like putting your chairs in the center of this aisle, and it wasn't like a
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
It was like this like clump of chairs in
Or
the
you
hallway.
have to, like,
a lot of people
Just
usually
get back.
sat on desks just to get closer.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Like,
comfortable for
you were
everybody.
looking at a wall, like, and it wasn't like an actual studio setup. It was just like people looking away from each other. It wasn't
Yeah.
a conversation.
Yeah.
So I think the idea of everybody being around one table
Yeah.
could actually be really nice. Like fosters more collaboration,
Yeah.
conversation.
That's what architecture is about.
Yeah.
Always like iterating.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I do agree with that.
And I think we are still just working out exactly what the best way to do that in a limited space.
Yeah, we're also adapting ourselves too. I feel like we are used to something, and sometimes it's hard to leave that behind. So ourselves are adapting. Yeah.
We had like a guest lecture in one of our classes today, and I thought they put it really well. They want their students
Yeah.
to kind of like disassociate from their own projects instead of calling it like, oh, my
My
project.
project.
You're saying it, well, no, actually everyone
The
is helping you
project.
develop it. So it's like a communal project that you've just been working a little bit harder on. So I think that's a really,
Yeah,
it's a cool
the
narrative.
Project. It's
yeah, this
that.
project or the,
Yeah. I really like that, and I think it really ties back to the studio setup a lot.
Yeah. And
Um,
AIAS.
Yeah, I think that
AIAS,
it
yeah.
does show the value in pinups and just like group critiques. Like
Yeah.
you get to see other ideas, and that really impacts your thinking. So I think you're right. It is like as a group effort overall.
Yeah. Nick, your advice?
My advice, I've got like a personal one and then like a very practical one. The practical
Yeah.
one, I guess I'll just get out of the way. Like the earlier you get good at software, the better. This is like so
Take a summer.
this literally
Take a
like
summer.
because if you're bad at software, everything takes longer. You pull more
Yeah.
all-nighters. You can't realize better ideas in your brain. Like you could have a sick idea and then just not be able to model it in Rhino.
And it's so frustrating.
And then you're just so
It's so
screwed.
frustrating.
Yeah, it sucks. So as early as you can, like invest some time in like just learning like some tricks, some shortcuts, just getting better software literacy. And then I guess on like the more, not profound, but more like personal level, like
Please share some
To
wisdom.
please be profound.
You've been here for a long
Wisdom
time.
Yeah.
Please
Nick.
share what you've learned.
Is the lack of sleep is coming out.
no, let me think. I mean, I think just don't expect perfection from yourself ever, or at least
Such a good
That's
one.
like
such a
That's
good
such a good one.
like I remember I was a freshman and I was like, I'm gonna be the next best architect in the
You're like,
entire
I'm
world.
the best one out of here.
And everyone thought that, and everyone obviously wasn't. And like, especially not like at like a age of 18. Like, Jesus,
Like,
like
you
that's,
don't
like,
even know what architecture is like.
exactly. Like, be patient more than anything else with yourself. And like, I remember there was this one great guest lecture in Lynn Burke's co-op class.
Oh,
His-
she had amazing lectures.
His name was Luke Fiscucci, and he used to be one of the AIAS' presidents a long time ago. But he was like, you should be process-oriented, not product-oriented. And I really like that because our classes teach us to be product-oriented
Yeah.
because we're making deliverables, we're making a
Yeah.
final project, we're supposed to have some sort of final output that's supposed to be amazing. But really, the whole process, especially of undergrad, is just learning through those projects and not expecting out of like perfection out of anything, but just learning along the way. And maybe that's cliche, but I think it's really easy to get in your head of like, oh, this project has to be perfect because, you know, I need to have a portfolio for co-op. I need to have a portfolio for after I graduate. But I think, especially in your early years, like, don't put pressure on yourself like that. Maybe in like when you're about to graduate, like, oh, you know, like,
When you're about to find a job.
yeah, when you're about to
Maybe
find a
then-
job,
maybe
you
then
should
like
unfortunately have a good portfolio.
Yeah. I think to that thing of not being perfect at everything, it's like, I think I personally like strive for perfection, and I feel like that's a problem a lot of the time where I like need to have every single detail figured out before even put it into like words or like visualizations, and sometimes I need to like start putting them even though they're not perfect because that'll mess up with you more than getting
Yeah.
to the perfection.
It does, yeah, because you can just
then
like
you'll
ruminate.
have to pull those all-nighters and
Yes,
like try
yeah.
to put every single detail that you thought of into paper, and then it won't happen, and then you'll be very disappointed on yourself. So
I think in a studio probably full of perfectionists, because I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
like architecture students are like
yeah.
Oh,
90%
yeah.
perfectionists.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
all the
it's-
normal people dropped out to different majors.
Yeah.
It's just literally
Yeah.
just the
Shout
crazy
out to
people.
all the dropouts.
Shout out to the normal people who ran
You
away from
didn't
this
stay
major.
with us.
It's a but I think it's a good reminder. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna screw up, and that's part of
Yeah.
school, and no one really tells you that. Like you just kind of like, if you put your pressure on yourself, you're expected to like, oh, I'm gonna like really nail this. It's gonna look really nice, and like there's obviously gonna be bumps in the way, but
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
Sometimes
part
you
of it.
You just gotta move forward.
Sometimes professors love that you make mistakes. You
Yeah.
learn from it. You get A's from it, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
you just gotta move forward.
Yeah.
Even
Just
if
move
like
it.
even though they're like I guess those sort of like benchmarks of co-op and all that, like people are like, oh, like it has to be perfect for co-op or whatever. I think even if you get like a terrible co-op, like that's fine. Or
Yeah.
not like a terrible,
I don't
like
think,
just
I don't
co-op
think
is a
there's
bad
any
co-op.
terrible co-op.
that's true,
think you
exactly.
learn
Or
something
if
from
you're
every
if you're
co-op.
disappointed
Every
from
single-
your
Yeah,
co-op.
if you're
if you're
disappointed,
sad
yeah.
about not getting what you wanted, that's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's super okay.
But it's still experience.
It's still
still
experience.
experience.
It's still like a step forward. Like as long as like you're not. Well, even if you regress a little bit, I'm sure you can learn from that too.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I
feel
think
like-
just not
yeah.
expecting anything like that from yourself too early.
Yeah,
on.
for sure. I feel like
Yep.
people are just like, I need to get the co-op at this firm. Sometimes just getting the co-op doesn't mean you're the best at it. You know, there's so many people that are better than you. Like, you can learn from them.
You're just
It's
lucky that
like-
they didn't apply at the same
No,
time.
you just gotta be ahead of the game. That's what I'm saying. Move forward. Don't put that like negative feelings about your work, because sometimes someone else is gonna appreciate that work that you think it's horrible. That
Yeah,
you think
I
it's
think
the
you're
worst
exactly
work
right.
that you've ever put out. Maybe it's someone else's magical like inspiration, you know? So you
Yeah.
should just put it out there. Sometimes I feel like we get so into ourselves that we don't even like, we're like, what would I even apply, or what would I even put it there, because like I'm not good enough, or this is not good enough. But then it's just like that thing might might have stopped you from having the co-op of your dreams, or like being at the place that you should have been. So don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
That's always a
exactly
good
right. I
reminder.
think, what you consider to be the best might not be what a potential co-op is
Yeah.
looking for. And to that point, also, I would also definitely suggest if you have passions or projects you've worked on, like on your own or in like groups outside of specific studios, like definitely showcase those when you're looking for co-ops, full-time positions, because those really make you like stand out and look unique. So like, for example, I've done research where I've done had work to share in my portfolio that kind of made my portfolio more unique. This is one example.
Yeah, when I didn't have any professional experience, I did like a residential renovation. I renovated my parents' like bathroom or whatever, and I like put that in my portfolio.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I got hired, so.
Yeah. I feel like also in co-op you'll find out if you really want to do what you're doing. So don't.
It's a good learning experience.
Don't.
Oh, yeah.
Any co-op is gonna be good. You'll probably find out like what you want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Or what you don't.
Oh, you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
And then you don't. There's a less.
And then you know when
you
not
know
to go.
which
Yeah.
one not to
Yeah.
do,
Exactly.
and then you move forward to trying something else.
There you go. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I think my personal last question. If
Yeah,
you got
go
more,
ahead.
keep it going. But
No.
I'm curious, like, what have you guys been able to gain? What different experiences have you gotten specifically from AIAS? Like, what have any events that you've gone to go to, or anything at all that you've gained from being a part of AIAS all these years?
Connections for sure. I would say the community is always nice, especially sort of coming out of COVID. Like, studio culture was horrendous for a good 2 years, and you spend so much time with these people, so it's like super important that at least you enjoy yourself around them or something. Maybe you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but I think it's nice if you enjoy the company of the people around you.
Your classmates are also connections. Don't.
Oh, that's
forget
true
about
too.
that.
Yeah,
But
that's
you're
actually
struggling.
on a practical level. Yeah,
They are
You
connections, so might as well also be friends with them. No, there are. 'Cause, imagine.
Businesswoman.
No, it's just you never know when you need help, and the people that you least expect to help you, they might be there to help you. So
that's true.
Don't outcast yourself, I guess. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think just to build on that, definitely those connections you build with people in your class, in the whole school. Also, the way we've collaborated with other schools and making those connections is really great. I think personally, I gain a lot of satisfaction of seeing people come together.
Yeah.
And I think we've been working on ways of getting people to our events and keeping them there.
Yeah.
It's great to spend time together, right?
Yeah.
Not just come, grab a slice of pizza, go back to your work. We want to hang out. I think we've seen success from that.
Yeah.
From our first couple Genera meetings, we've had our Lego event, we've had pumpkin
that
carving.
was a successful event. That one was fun to even be
The
there
Legos?
as a mentor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a good start to our mentorship program.
Justine is a mentor, by the way.
Shout out to all our mentors and our mentees for signing up for that.
Yeah. Yeah, echo all that. I mean, the flip side of that is it sucks when you make an event and then no one shows up, because that for sure happened for a long time with a couple of different things we tried out, and it was horrendous. It was so bad. Especially if you plan it. I remember I did an alumni panel. Again, I found people through Lynn. I emailed them. We made topics and discussion questions, and it was I think a couple of them were in COVID, and 10 people showed up, and I was like, oh my god.
Shout out to those 10 people that showed up.
Yeah, and I was embarrassed because we had these 4 alumni. I was sorry, more people didn't come. It was But now we've done better things, which is great. And also, I think everyone's just in a better spot to actually be social and want to actually do all that.
I think it's a combination of when the events happen.
Yeah.
Is there food there? Obviously.
Yeah.
Magic of food.
I think also
Also communication, too.
communication, making sure people know about it.
Yeah, the flyers.
Follow our Instagram at NEUAIAS.
Yeah,
Love
please
the
follow.
We put everything up there.
Do you have link anything? Please let the people know. Tell the people what they want to know.
Instagram. Yeah, we have an Instagram, and It's pretty good. If you're not part of the newsletter and you don't have your email there, go to the Instagram. You'll get the info. So.
Yeah, we put everything on Instagram. We have a newsletter every week. The whole school should be invited to that. And yeah, it's always a great time. I think we want more people there. We want to have a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
Just continue building studio culture.
Yeah, I'm just happy that people want to go to these events, right? I mean, if they don't want to, that's completely fine. It's just always like you show up if you want to. If you don't, you don't, and that's okay.
And I think we want to know.
Archer's just busy,
like-
so like, you know.
Like, what do you
Whatever
want?
you
I
can
think
do.
we're very open to new ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
How big is the incoming class? Like how big? How many freshmen do we have this year?
Who
Oh,
knows? 100
we
or
have like
something?
18. I've heard, or
It's
like
like
20,
18?
20 something. That's what I've heard, because I've seen.
No.
There's so many more
Well,
than
at
that.
least the people that are taking.
18 sections.
No, there's
Like-
only 2 sections for like library studio this year, and there's like, yeah.
There's no way because our
No,
freshman class
Ashley-
was like 200 kids.
Ashley is a TA for that, and she told me there's only 2 sections. Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't know what's happening there.
That many people
I don't
dropped
believe
out.
you. I can't. Like,
I actually do kind
find-
of believe it.
No, no,
I
but
do
no,
believe
do
The
believe
fact
me,
that
'cause
people
now-
dropped out before library studio is
That's
what is
actually a
surprising.
good
No,
point.
I think
It's a good point, actually.
The process to get it into the School of Architecture has changed. Now it's mandatory to put a portfolio and like do the essay.
It was when I applied.
Yeah, it was also
I had a
meant-
portfolio
It
requirement.
Yeah,
was,
me
I
too.
thought it was meant. Apparently, it wasn't because a lot
Oh.
of people. I put
was
my
just, like,
portfolio in like
suggested
my essay,
portfolio.
and I thought it was mandatory. But
Maybe
like,
it was suggested. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't
I think
remember.
my
It was a
phone
long
was-
time ago.
Yeah. Again, I just can't believe that they drop out like pre-library studio. Life was pretty breezy before that.
Well, you know, they changed the
No,
curriculum structure.
I feel like, I feel
Never
like,
mind, maybe
I
just
feel like people would drop out at that point because you have like all the having to learn the soft words and all that in like combined to like producing.
Yeah, but you
Then-
don't use Rhino until library though, unless they changed it.
I think they've changed some things.
Yeah, because
they
now
moved.
they're
They
trying to do the
moved.
4 years.
They're moving
Oh,
towards
yeah.
4 years,
Which
I
is-
think.
It's intense.
It's more intensive
Yeah.
for
No,
sure.
I'm
I'm not
happy
gonna
that
say
we're the,
anything
like-
about that.
But you still
I'm
have the
happy
option
that we
to
have
do
5
5
years.
years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I
everyone
think
should
I
take-
personally am happy I did 5 years.
I personally think if you're doing architecture,
Yeah.
give yourself some grace and do 5 years.
Well,
The
also-
4-year program they don't get 2 co-ops. They only get 1.
Which
Yeah.
for our year, if you only have one co-op, that means that you have to automatically be
the
dropped out of
architecture
art studies. Because we have some people that weren't able to get a co-op in our year, and they got told that they have to go into art studies. They were no longer welcome in the art.
We are lucky people to get
Yeah.
a co-op.
So it's
that's terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it's interesting to see the contrast between the 5 and the 4 year because
Yeah. It's definitely a lot of
Also,
it's changing.
they have more options for study abroad. And I'm really upset about that because they now have the option of Dublin and Rome, and I would have loved to go to Dublin.
I do want to shout out Segovia. I had a good time.
I
No,
would
Segovia
have
was-
Segovia
Okay,
for both
I
of those
had-
actually.
I also had a
good
great time, but
They're
I
good.
but
It's
I
fine.
I almost went to we covered this last episode. I almost went to Dublin for
well, next
university.
episode for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, but I almost went to Dublin for college, so it would have been cool to like be able to do both.
Yeah. I guess it's just a matter of. I guess like we're just changing for better. We need trial and error. We're the trial. So every year is a trial.
That's true.
Every year is a trial, and every year it's gonna get better. So, thank you so much for being here and
We
like,
really
taking the time.
we really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us. This is
Yeah.
a blast.
Yeah,
Looking
I
forward
Come
hope
to
back
s-
anytime.
Yeah.
I feel so important right now.
That
Like,
you should.
literally like a guest
You're
on a
the first
podcast.
episode. You're the
Wow.
This
Yeah.
is my first podcast like
Oh,
ever like on a
let's
podcast,
go.
so it's pretty cool.
It definitely will not be your last because you guys are
I hope not.
fantastic interviewees.
Yeah, if we can get a hold of Nick, schedule.
It's midterms. Don't blame Nick. Come
Yeah.
on.
I have like 72 hours to do this. I'm like freaking out.
No, thank you so much, Nick, for being
Yeah, of
here.
course.
I know
Yeah.
it's midterm season, so
Well, thank you guys both.
Yeah,
'cause it's-
Ethan
Business
too.
break.
Of course.
Yeah.
Ethan
Yeah.
too. You had an event and you came right after.
Yeah.
So thank you so much
Hey,
for
we
your
made it
time.
work.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Well, come back anytime. We'd love to have you guys at any point in our
Yeah.
show.
We'll
So-
probably do history things. So
Yeah.
if you're interested in something related to a specific
Yeah.
history architectural topic,
We have several
That's
segment
let us
ideas.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
I
you're more
think
than
I'll
welcome to come back.
once again shout out our Instagram. You can follow us at NEUAIAS. And of course, follow Off the Rails.
Which is at Off the Rails.
And
you.
There you go.
Amazing. And we will also be posting about your guys' episodes. So
Thank God. Okay,
looking
that's
forward
awesome.
to see you.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, well, again, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's not that.
It was my pleasure.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you for making this work, Nick and Ethan, for us.
Yeah.
You guys have a great night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're filming this at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.